Please have a seat. And you can move the microphone right up to your mouth so that
Okay.
you can hear you. Oh, good. And if you could tell us your full name and spell your last, please.
Steven George Leach, Leach.
Thank you. Ms. Flanagan?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Leach, what is your current occupation?
My current occupation, I am area manager for Wholesome Lafarge.
And how long have you been doing that?
3 years.
And then what did you do prior?
Well, I've always kind of had a side. Most of my life has been in the gravel construction industry.
Okay. What was your profession in January 7th of 2007?
I was the fire chief.
And the fire chief of where?
Fire chief of Lawrence Township Emergency Service.
How long were you the fire chief?
I was the fire chief in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2009, 10, and 11.
And then in between, were you also then still a firefighter?
Yes.
So when you were not the chief, you were still a firefighter?
Yeah, I got on the department in 1995, got off for a few years in 2018, and recently got back on that department.
So on January 7th of 2007, were you called to the residence on County Road 215?
Yes,
And was that in your official duty as then fire chief?
yes.
And what did you do then when you received that call?
I responded. I actually live on 54th Street, which that section through town that isn't 215. So essentially I live on that same street, about 4 miles away.
So once you got that call, how long did it take you to get to the home? When you went down the driveway, did you have any trouble getting down the driveway at all?
The actual part of the driveway, no.
And where did you park your vehicle?
So it went up, like I said, when I was coming up the drive, up the little bit of an incline, that's when I noticed Mike and what turned out to be Linda and Todd laying on the ground there. Would have been probably maybe a little further from you, maybe 1.5 times from me to you, away from the structure.
And so did you park your car then at that point?
Out. Yeah,
Jumped
parked
out?
right beside them and jumped out.
And were you on their driveway or just did you pull into the yard?
Side yard.
Side yard. And at that point, was anybody trying to administer aid to Todd?
No, Linda was on top of him. I was the first one to, I got her off so I could assess what I was looking at. And then she got back on and please get off. I need to do my job. I need to assess what's going on here.
So you started and then she jumped in
Jumped back on top of him.
and she still was on top of him at that point?
Yeah.
And then what did you do to get him off?
Got her. Linda, please, I didn't know her by name, but ma'am, please get off. I need to be able to do my job.
So once you arrive there and you see these other folks and you get Linda off of Todd, what do you do?
I started looking him over and trying to assess what was going on. Badly burnt, but he also was bleeding a little bit, which in my brain as I'm pulling up, and thinking, okay, fire, but it wasn't. It kind of threw me back for a second to notice the blood. He had some blood in his mouth and things. It was also burnt, but it was, there was blood on him as well. And that it just kind of threw me back for a second to try to figure out what was going on here.
And trying to figure out what type of aid to administer?
Yes, ma'am.
And so what did you do then after you were able to then view this blood and start to assess him?
It wouldn't have been long after that when somebody else came up along with us. But when I opened his mouth and checked the airway, then I got back into my truck and grabbed my jump bag to where my oxygen and my masks and things like that would have been.
And then you were able to grab all that equipment out?
Yeah.
Where was Todd located at this time?
At that point, he was still right near the house, but it was getting very hot. And so then, I don't remember in time lapse, I was trying to make sure that we were still safe in an area, the incoming trucks. But then I remember moving or helping move Todd further away from the house.
So you were part of that, of moving him?
Yeah.
And do you know what you did, like what you moved him on, or?
It seemed like it was like a kid's sled or something like that somebody had found in the yard. Don't even know who. At that point, you're, not paying attention to that kind of stuff. But we got him on that, and it seemed like there were about 3 or 4 of us drug him further away from the structure to a safe area.
Was he alive before you put him on the sled?
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of an agonal breathe, but he was breathing.
When you say agonal, what does that mean?
Not a good breath. It was more of a pained breath, it was just something that they taught you in EMT school, but it was the first time I'd ever witnessed. And then at that point you were like, oh, that is exactly what they meant when they talked about agonal breathing.
So this is the first time you'd ever seen that labored breath?
Yeah.
And did you check him to see if he had a pulse before you moved him?
Yes.
Did he have a pulse?
Yes.
And then you moved him, and then was there additional aid that was then rendered on him?
Yeah.
What type of aid then was being done on him?
I didn't do so much of it, but by then, because enough people had come in, but they were starting to do CPR. I had the AED. I had one in my truck. They tried to hook that up. And
what's that? What type?
An automatic defibrillator.
And that's to check the heart?
To shock the heart. Trying to put the pads on, and it was so the body between the pads wouldn't stick.
Was that because of the injuries?
Injection foundation and it's falling off of the speculate.
He's trying to adhere pads to his chest and saying they didn't stick, so I'm just asking why.
I guess I'll allow you,
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow you to ask him if he knows why.
Okay. Do you know why the pads didn't stick?
There was a lot of odor of things, but and the body was burnt badly, so I don't know what.
You said there was a lot of odor of things?
Fuel.
You could actually smell fuel?
It was kind of.
So you smell a smell of fuel?
An odor.
And where did you smell that?
On or about the body in that area.
Did you know where it was coming from at that time?
No.
But you smelled that when you were rendering aid?
Yeah.
Did Todd ever say anything to you?
No.
Did you continue to render the aid until the EMTs got there?
Yeah. That's when, like I said, once we moved him away, and that's when the incoming people were starting to, and so then I went to go be the fire, or, not that one was more important, but start direct the fire aid, or to put the fire out.
So that's when you jumped into fire mode?
Yes.
When you went with your vehicle from, so did you just keep your vehicle then close to the body, or did you ever move your vehicle then?
Yes, it would have been too hot where it was at as well, so I had to move it.
And had to move it away?
Yeah.
Did you find it difficult to travel on that grassy area?
When I got to the grass, I did have to put it in four-wheel drive, yes. It was kind of a greasy area.
What was the weather like at that time?
It seemed like it was rainy, sleety, kind of trying to spit some snow.
And then you moved into then fire mode after that.
Yeah.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Just want to make sure we're clear on the weather conditions at the time. Your best recollection as you sit here 18 years later is that it was snowy and sleety.
Kind of a
Right.
sleety.
Fair enough. Do you remember the temperature?
No, I don't. It wasn't, I just came from hockey practice for my son.
I just asked you if you remember the temperature, sir.
Okay. I was wearing a sweater and
Yes or no, do you remember the temperature that day?
the exact temperature, no,
Okay.
I know what I was wearing.
Would it help if I refresh your recollection with your report?
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor? And if I recall, in 1 second. Does this look familiar to you, sir?
Fire report, yeah.
Okay. That's something you fill out in the ordinary course of your business?
Yep.
When you report to a fire?
When we get back, yes.
That is your report, and
Yep.
you are trained to be accurate
Yeah.
in writing? Your Honor, I move for the admission of Exhibit II.
Your Honor, we object that you can't admit police reports as evidence.
It's all his first-hand information. There's no hearsay within hearsay.
Also saying the objection.
Okay. Sir, you're trained to write accurate reports, correct?
Yeah.
And in your report, am I correct, you say weather information, snow or sleet, like you just testified,
You get some choices, but yes.
and the wind speed is 10 miles an hour, correct?
Yep.
And the temperature is 32 degrees,
Yep.
freezing, right? You know what freezing temperature is?
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
All right. That would have been accurate because that's what you're trained to do.
Yep.
Let me just go through a couple of these dates and times here. On January 7, it says the alarm went off at 15:33, so 3:33 p.m.
Yep.
Then dispatch is at the same time,
Yes.
right? Then you were en route by 3:35
Yep.
and get to the scene 3:40.
Yep.
All right. You don't know when the first call was made. Would that be fair?
No, I wouldn't.
That'd be fair?
That's fair.
Okay. So when you see Linda, you said she was on top of Todd, correct?
Correct.
You told her to get off, and she did get off, ultimately,
She did.
right?
Yes.
Right. She was hysterical, clearly. Yes?
Yes.
And you've testified in a prior hearing. You remember testifying several years ago in the hearing in this case?
Yes.
You said she was wailing and screaming and hysterical, right?
Yep.
She was acting as somebody would who just had her husband horribly burned in a house fire, as you would expect. Fair?
Yes.
Her reactions were nothing out of the norm, and I'm sure you've been in plenty of other horrible situations, you being a fire chief,
Yes.
right? You said you noticed blood and that kind of threw you off a little bit.
Yes.
But when people get burned, blood vessels at some point burst, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're not qualified to talk
I'm
about
not,
that.
I guess I wouldn't, I mean, I've seen other badly burnt bodies, and it was not what I had seen in those particular cases.
Clearly, not every burn injury is the same, right?
Yeah.
You have to answer.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk to you about this idea of you smelling an odor of gasoline.
I don't know that it was, it just was an odor that I've been in construction. My nose tells me when fire's about. I can smell hydraulic oils. I don't always identify what it is, but it just doesn't smell correct.
Okay.
Or something out of the ordinary.
Something out of the ordinary. You certainly can't say it was gasoline. Fair?
Fair.
All right. And when you got there, you weren't the first person. Fair?
Fair.
Todd Stermer was practically naked, right?
Yes.
Todd Stermer, when you arrived, had clothes over his groin area, over his privates.
Yes.
Did Mr. Matheny tell you, did you learn from Mr. Matheny that he's the one who put clothes?
I did not.
All right. And you certainly don't know whether the clothes had gasoline or fuel or anything else.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So as you sit here today, you would have no evidence on your own to rule out the fact that Mike Matheny's clothes could have been the cause of the smell of gas. Fair?
No.
He never said gas, he said fuel.
He did say gasoline on direct, specifically.
Fuel on direct, Your Honor.
It's gas because I agree with Ms. Irene. My memory is he said he couldn't say it was gas, but you can ask him again.
As you sit here today, you can't rule out the fact that Mike Matheny's clothes could have possibly caused the fuel smell. Fair?
Couldn't identify how it got there, whether it was already on Todd, on Mike, or on Linda. I have no idea how it got there.
And as you sit here today, even though you're a fire chief, you don't know the cause of this fire, do you?
No.
Give me 1 second, Your Honor. I don't have any more questions for you. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Enjoy your retirement.
Ms. Irene? Oh, I'll take it. Thank you. Is this yours? Okay. Do you want this back, Mr. Mueller? I think you gave this to him. Thank you, sir. We have questions. I forgot. I usually do that with at least one witness in every trial. Thank you for, sir, I have a lot of questions, it looks like, so. From the jury, and just a reminder that juror questions are designed for questions of the witnesses as they're here on the stand. So after each witness, I'm supposed to ask you if you have any questions, but so just that's the parameters, is there questions for particular witnesses, okay? And I'm asking most of the questions that were presented. Some I'm not asking, I've determined under the law not to ask. Sir, what size and what type and size of truck were you driving?
I was driving a four-wheel drive Dodge 1500 half-ton,
Okay.
regular cab, four-wheel drive.
Okay. Please clarify the time of your arrival at the Stermer residence and who was there already.
With the report of what time it was 13 or 1540 with that report.
Is that what your report? Yeah, you can
Yes.
use your report if you need it, sir, to refresh your recollection.
I arrived at 1540, so 340. So roughly 7 minutes after the initial call came in.
Okay. Where did you observe Todd bleeding from? Was it his mouth only, or were there additional wounds you observed?
It, like on the head and the mouth, like in the teeth, I noticed, that's where I noticed it first, but it was on the head as well.
Okay, thank you. Counsel, any I have another one. Can you write it down? Ma'am, can you write it down? Oh, yeah, I have some I did not ask.
Well, you did ask.
Oh,
You didn't answer all.
okay. Is it the same, so you already submitted it? You want me to just ask that again? I'll do it. Thank you.
I think it was just who was on the scene.
Is that it? Okay. Oh, okay. So who was on scene when you arrived?
Todd and Linda and Mike Matheny.
Okay. So. Any questions, attorneys? Did that answer that question? Thank you. Any questions?
Do you remember if Connie Calhoun was there?
I didn't see Connie. I mean, I didn't. Mike was the one standing right beside everything, waving. And so that's, if you were standing there going like this, my focus went to where Mike was. So
those
I
are
couldn't.
Were those the people around Todd?
Right. And so I didn't. She may have, may not have been. I don't know.
You just don't recall it?
I do not recall.
Thank you.
Mr. Mueller?
Do you recall a Dr. Masali? You know who he is? Rich Masali?
Yeah.
Do you recall him being there before you?
I did not.
You're not saying he wasn't, you just don't remember.
I do not remember him being there before. I remember Mike, Linda, and Todd.
And if Connie Calhoun, who was with Mike, was up by her truck calling 911, you were focused on the house.
Correct.
So you wouldn't have known, maybe not remembered her.
Right.
And you can't dispute if they say
They were there first.
they were the two
yeah.
first ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Full-size Dodge 1500, what year?
2000,
All-wheel drive, you said?
four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel. And I had no problem in the terrain, being a four-wheel 1500.
No,
Fair?
fair.
Right.
Once I shifted it into four-wheel drive,
Which you had to shift in the driveway?
yeah, just reach down and flip the lever.
On this trip, I'm talking about when you got to the house, you shifted into four-wheel?
Once I got off the driveway,
Got it.
yes. None of the other portion of the route did I have to, no.
As soon as you got off the main straight driveway, which ends right in front of the house, as soon as you got a little bit off to the side is when you started to jump it into four-wheel?
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Just one question. When did Dr. Musali arrive? You know, like how long had you been there?
I noticed, I know, and I didn't know it was Dr. Masali, but I noticed somebody else. About the time I was getting my bag, my medical bag out, and he appeared to know, well, he was a doctor. He appeared to know what he was, so.
And that
yeah.
was before you moved, Todd?
Yes.
I have no further questions, John. Thank you.
Were you part of the group that actually physically moved Todd from close to the house to farther away?
Yes, there was, like I mentioned earlier, it seemed like 3 to 4 of us pulled that sled or whatever it was, physically had a hand on it, yes.
So just give me 1 second. To get ready for today's testimony, prepare with the prosecutor, going over what your testimony was going to be.
Yeah.
And the subject matter. How long did you prepare with her?
I don't know, half hour. We talked about this and, yeah.
About the subject matters you wanted to talk, or she
Your Honor, I'm
wanted
just going to object. He's exceeding the scope at this point.
I got one more, right. To go over what your testimony was going to be in the subject matter of your testimony, right?
Yeah.
Including what you may have smelled on the scene. Fair?
Talked about what I encountered that day, yes.
Including what you may have smelled from 18 years ago.
We talked about what I encountered that day.
Okay, thank you.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Jury, any other questions of him? No questions? May he be excused from his subpoena, counsel?
Pardon me?
Excused
I
from,
would ask that you please be excused from subpoena.
thank you. Thank you, sir, you're excused. Thank you. Jury, if one of you needs a break, we'll take a 15-minute break. Otherwise, we can plow through till 4:30. Does at least one of you need a break? If so, raise your hand. Okay, let's keep going. Ms. Zeiderman, your next
Thank you, Your Honor.
witness.
People call Mike Matheny to the stand, please.